All right, so let's start with the big story that we're tracking on WION at this hour, where at least 38 people are said to have been killed in Myanmar on Wednesday, making it the deadliest day of the anti-coup protests since the 1st of February military coup sent the country into an unprecedented political crisis. The Myanmar security forces resorted to firing live ammunition at groups of protesters who were demonstrating against the military rule. So far, according to reports that have come in, the death toll is now said to be about 38 confirmed cases, although in some unconfirmed cases, the reports say that at least about 50 people may have lost their lives due to police firing. The junta at its point of time is trying its very best to try and crush the dissent that is ongoing.
Today, it was the bloodiest day since the coup happened on the 1st of February. We had only today, 38 people died. We have now more than over 50 people died since the coup started, and many are wounded.
Now, the violence continues to unfold on the streets of Myanmar. In the city of Yangon, the largest Myanmarese city, the protesters resorted to making makeshift barricades to try and evade the police violence. And 5 fighter jets also flew at low altitude and were seen in Myanmar's second largest city of Mandalay on Thursday. The violence has not deterred the protesters. On Thursday, Myanmar's pro-democracy activists said that they will hold more and wider demonstrations in the wake of the military crackdown. And the world, of course, remember, has taken note of the situation that is unfolding in Myanmar. Leaders have called on the military to halt the violence, but that seems to have made very little difference. Just a day after neighbouring nations urged the military to exercise restraint. That dozens of people have been killed in a bid to try and quash the dissent by the military junta, and not just the demonstrators. In the last 1 month of the anti-coup protests, the military has also taken a pretty hard stance towards the media as well. This is something that governments in Myanmar in the past have done, where media is immediately muzzled as soon as any kind of disturbance breaks out. And according to reports that have now come in, at least about 6 journalists have been arrested in Myanmar for having reported on the police repression in the state. So as the world condemns the crackdown, the military has justified its actions by claiming widespread voter fraud in the 8th of November elections that saw the controversial civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi sweep the polls. They say that fresh polls will be held pretty soon, but as time goes by and violence intensifies, dates for elections have not been announced. All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what's actually unfolding in Myanmar, we are joined in by Annie Zamar, who is a political analyst, and she's joining us live from the city of Yangon in Myanmar. Annie, thank you very much indeed for joining us on this broadcast on WION, and bring us up to speed with what is happening at this point of time. We're given to understand that anywhere from 38 to perhaps 50 people were killed in police firing, where the police resorted to firing live ammunition on a group of protesters yesterday.
As you all know, today is another dark day in Burma. Brutal military crackdown on demonstrators who are unarmed, medical workers, civilians and journalists are seen all around the country. Among them, what we have seen crackdown at one township in Yangon, that was the most horrific, including the use of machine guns. And even the doctors have confirmed that they have, they are using machine guns, and they claim that they're not using live ammunition is false. And there's still a lot of people with gunshots wounded, and some are in critical conditions all over the hospitals. And we heard more horrible news late at night. At that time, when we don't have the internet, it's been like more than 2 weeks. There's 3 weeks now. I've stopped counting days that we don't have internet at night from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. and they're using jammers. And right now, Myanmar has the most sophisticated spyware anywhere in the world.
Now, at this point of time, do we know as to what or where is the leader Aung San Suu Kyi being held? Because there were question marks as to where the military has shifted her. Because initially it said that she was being held in detention at her home, but subsequently there are reports that say that she's now been shifted to an unspecified location.
Yeah, that's what we are getting the news from our colleagues in Naypyidaw, and military is being very careful and very secretive about her location.
And also, what is the situation right now? Is the military willing to talk to the protesters? Will some kind of negotiations will be held? Or is the military now only trying to stamp out all expressions of dissent?
What we are seeing right now, that military is not having any kind of negotiations with anyone, not with the leaders of this civil disobedience movement, or anyone, for example, in ASEAN as well. We have seen one of the members flying out to Thailand to meet with the Indonesian foreign minister, but there's a deadlock right now here. We don't see any middle way. And the people on the ground, they have been from the last 4 weeks, they have been asking international intervention, which is also, it doesn't look like a possibility right now.
And also, Annie, as someone who's on the ground, for people who are looking at these protests from outside of Myanmar, give us a sense of how widespread these protests are, especially considering the fact that the government in Myanmar is resorting to internet blackouts. How are people coordinating with each other in planning these protests?
These protesters are very smart. Most of the people, if you look through the people who have been killed, they are under 20. And these people, they identify themselves as Generation Z. And they are actually looking up to and learning from the Milk Tea Alliance in other parts of Southeast Asia. For example, from Hong Kong, they have learned lots of tactics. But we have seen in the last 2 weeks that every day we don't know, where the protesters are going to start protesting next morning or the next afternoon. They're very careful, they're very organized, and they're using tactics. For example, I'm not sure if you have heard about it. Initially, when they wanted to, the civil disobedience movement protesters, they wanted to block Central Bank in Yangon. What they did initially, they blocked the cars. All the private cars were blocked in the streets, so they didn't let the military get to them, or police. And yesterday we have seen, and the last week, they are using the General Min Aung Hlaing's picture, pasted on the roads, and then they block the roads. So the military has to actually first take off the pictures of their boss, and then or to step on it. So it has been a very successful tactic. What we are seeing, they are calling themselves frontline defenders. They're using gas masks, they're using shields. But by the end of the day, these are civilians. They don't have weapons to protect themselves. They're using shields and water guns. That's it.
All right, we'll have to leave there. Thank you very much.
Not even, sorry, I have to, sorry, yes, not Annie, the water guns, yes. Water bags, No, just wanted to correct myself. It's water bags they're shielding themselves with.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Annie Zaman, for joining us and getting us all those updates in terms of what's actually unfolding in Myanmar at this point of time. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.